My name is Jose Antonio Vargas. I'm a journalist and a filmmaker. I'm the founder of Define American and also the founder of #EmergingUs. In many ways, being an undocumented immigrant in this country has been one of the defining parts of my identity. And I say that as someone who is gay, as someone who is Filipino, which means that I have a Asian-looking face and a Latino name, which confuses a lot of people. As someone who majored in African American Studies in college, as someone who just made it a TV special for MTV called White People. So I'm interested in all of these things. I came to the country when I was 12. I found out that I was here illegally when I went to the DMV when I was 16. I became a journalist when I was 17. Race has always been defined in many ways in black and white terms, right? But this country is more Latino and more Asian and more mixed race and more biracial and Middle Eastern, all of those people that are not part of the black and white dynamic. So where do we fit in that? So that's always been, for me, a very fundamental question. In this country, according to Pew Research Center, in this country, 88% of the total population growth in the next 50 years will mostly come from Latinos and Asians. 88%. How do we talk to Asian people and Latinos about the anti-blackness that is pervasive in our families, right? And that we learn from our grandparents and our parents and our cousins and our uncles and our aunts. We have always been fearful of immigrants. Talk to the Irish, talk to the Italians, talk to the Germans, talk to Eastern European Jews who came here. That's why they built the Statue of Liberty, right? Was to promote, this welcoming feeling to the new immigrants who are coming here. The difference, though, is that all those groups that I just mentioned, they get to be white. We don't, right? Like the great majority of immigrants in this country are not from Europe, are not light-skinned. When I say that there's nothing more American than fighting for immigration reform, because this is a country, unless you're a Native American, unless you're a black American who was forced to come here to build this country for free, right? You're an immigrant from somewhere. Whenever, and this is for me as a journalist, gets really painful, is when I watch the news media, it's almost as if it's a given that we, the people of color, are always the one that have to be explained, right? Like we're the ones that have to be analyzed and explained, and white people just get to be. In my opinion, one of the defining and critical issues that we must face is the intersection between mass deportation and detention and mass incarceration and what it's done to our communities. For me, this is where storytelling is of utmost importance. I try to remind myself that not only is there so much more work to be done, because there is, but I have to remind myself what I kept telling myself when I was my 16-year-old, 17-year-old self, which is, they're not talking about me. They don't even know me, right? And so I worry all of these anti-immigrant rhetoric and like how it's gonna impact these kids that are growing up in these households and how they think about other people, how insidious it is and how long that impact is gonna be way after this election, right? I think about all that, and then I think about what the opportunity is. I think we are actually given an opportunity to face all of these things that we have been so unwilling to face. So what I would say to young people is two things. One, you are not alone. You're never alone. And, this world, this interconnected world that we're living in is proof of that. But the second thing, I think about my mom being in that airport, putting me on a plane and saying goodbye. I think about those grandparents that decided to put their grandkids on their back and to walk across the border. I think about all those Haitians, Jamaicans, in the Caribbean, who chose to come here in whatever way they had to choose to come here. Those sacrifices must ground and sanctify what we do and who we are.